This video is brought to you by Lowe's.
Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is LK and I'm very excited for today's video because I'm going to be sharing with you 3 outdoor projects that will easily elevate and update your outdoor spaces, whether you have a small patio or a big backyard. And along the way, I'll be sharing some products from Lowe's that helped make these projects possible. And I'll also be sprinkling in some tips on how to easily reset your space for spring. So let's get into it. If there's one thing I've learned from years of DIY and home projects, it's that the right tools don't just make a project easier, it also makes it go by faster and makes it way more enjoyable. And that actually gives you the confidence to try something new so you can keep going and keep growing. So let's get started with our very first project. But first, I want to share with you the tool that I got from Lowe's that's going to make this project possible.
So in my first project, I'm going to be improving my outdoor space with this Greenworks pressure washer. This is specifically an auto detailing pressure washer, and it comes with a few accessories to help you detail your car a bit better, but it can also be used for a wide array of home projects, especially since it's powered by a regular outlet in your wall, and it comes with a 35-foot cord. It's super compact and easy to carry, and it's so easy to set up. There's these 2 spigots on either side. One screws into this 40-foot kink-free green hose, and the other gets screwed into your regular garden hose. The reason I really wanted to try this pressure washer is because it comes with 3 premium nozzles that go on the end of the rinsing wand. One that shoots out water at 15 degrees, another at 25 degrees, and another at 40 degrees, which all serve different purposes. And everything is super fast and simple to put together with this like push fit connection. All you have to do is pull this little brass piece backward and then slide in whichever attachment you'd like, and then let go and it automatically locks, which is great, especially if you're switching between the foam cannon to use soap or just want to quickly swap out the different tips in the middle of a job.
Nice.
Sometimes I think we don't use our outdoor spaces because it feels like in order to enjoy them, it requires a lot of labor and time, especially when you're dealing with the weather and the natural elements like dust and wind, rain, mud, and even snow. So the best solution for that, so you can get outside and enjoy your spaces, is to use tools that are efficient and time-saving, but also fun to use.
So before you do any kind of fun outdoor projects, especially after a long, messy winter, you definitely need to reset and clean. And in my situation, we just had record rainfall and winds. And even though my breezeway has a cover over it, it's completely exposed to the elements. So it's been totally trashed by the weather. And I really want to reset it quickly. So I'm going to use the pressure washer in a few different ways to see if it actually speeds up my cleaning process and to see if it's actually cleaning things a lot better than just me using no pressure washer. So the first thing I want to try cleaning is my outdoor rug here that's underneath my barbecue.
I knew this rug would be difficult when I first put it down because it's got a light cream color to it, so it was going to show everything. And I had originally planned to not track all of my mud from the garden into the breezeway, but it didn't happen that way, of course. However, thankfully it is an outdoor rug, so I'm hoping that it'll wash fairly easily. And I'm hoping that some of the dirt that looks really caked in there will just come out with the pressure washer. So I started out here with the 15-degree tip that's made for generally, I guess, brick walls. And it was doing a pretty good job as it has a really tight spray area, so it's very focused and pressurized. And this is why you would want to use a pressure washer over a hose, because even if you have a nozzle on your garden hose that has different settings like jet or shower, it's not going to give you enough pressure and shape in order to get out some of these really deep stains. And if it did, it would probably take you much longer. Doing the first phase of cleaning on this rug by just giving it a rinse with the pressure washer literally took me 5 minutes, and majority of the dirt came out.
So far this is going really well, and I think that I just want to try out the foam cannon so I can give it a layer of soap to just get some of those dirt pieces out of the tight weave of the rug.
believe the level of suds that came out with the little amount of detergent I put in the container, but I couldn't help but think I should probably try this with my indoor rugs as well. I can't imagine it would be any different, but as they're definitely thicker than an outdoor rug, I would probably do this in the summer or the spring when I knew it was going to be hot so they could dry quickly.
Okay, wow, you guys, I cannot believe that it literally only took me like 25 minutes to clean this rug from start to finish. I just rinsed it off and then easily was able to swap out that little foam cannon thing and then swap that out again for the rinsing one, and it's done. I just need to let it dry and then we can put it back in the breezeway, and I think it's gonna make such a difference because this has just been feeling so bad in there. I think purely because of the rug being so muddy and gross. So I'm very stoked about this.
Everything in the breezeway was so gross, so I wanted to use the pressure washer on literally everything else because it's literally so effective and fun to use. So I washed out these IKEA bamboo boxes that store some of my gardening supplies and barbecue supplies. I also rinsed off the chairs and mosaic table. Some of our gardening hats got so much crud on them from the rain and wind and dirt. And then I was finally kind of able to bring back some life to my harvest baskets that were a little bit ruined from rotten produce in there that I left on accident. And then I had always been planning on restoring these Adirondack rocking chairs to put down in the third level of my backyard. So I thought might as well, since I have the pressure washer out, get started on restoring them. And they really just needed to have a layer of grime removed, and also some of this loose paint needed to just come off. So instead of just sitting there with a sander, this pressure washer was 1,000 times easier and so much more fun to use. So now they're finally primed and ready for me to bring them back to life in the spring.
Could use this for so many different home projects, not just chair restoration or driveway and rug cleaning. You could also detail your car, you could blow off cobwebs, you could get rid of dirt on the roof of something. You could also probably wash furniture and pillows as long as you had enough outdoor time to let it dry. It really seems like the options are kind of endless. And mainly, I think the functionality of the foam cannon and then having the 3 different tips is really what makes this so much better than just having a regular hose. So I really do think that this is such a good investment for any home. So I'll link it down in the description if you want to get started on resetting your space for spring. Tip number 3 for enjoying your outdoor space is find a way to customize it and personalize it just for you. If you make something yourself, you feel more motivated to go outside and utilize that thing and put it into action. I think that's one of the best things about DIY is that when your hands made it, you feel really proud of it, and you can customize it to whatever your needs are, whether it's style or shape or color or budget or material, whatever it may be, you can make it your own. So project number 2 is a bench that I designed for my little Zen garden in the backyard. So last year I got a shed that was shipped to my house, and it came on this really big pallet, and I saw that it was actually heat treated, so it was safe to use as hardwood. So I kept it because I wanted to eventually break it down and use it for a project. And so I kept it on my driveway for months, and over the little Christmas break, my partner and I finally broke it down. So I removed all the pieces and all the rusty nails and then measured the pieces and kind of laid them out to brainstorm what I might be able to make out of these random pieces of wood. And then I finally thought, I could always use some additional seating, and it would be really nice to add some color in the newly created sensory Zen garden. So I built this bench with absolutely no plan in mind. I just had taken classes on building boxes and benches and tried to use that information and my skills and my tools from Lowe's to come up with something that made sense. And my big big challenge was just to use the limitations of this randomly sized wood that was not in the best shape. So I didn't know what the final product would look like or how I would make it look nice, but I did know that sanding something for stain really does take a lot of time and effort, and I just wanted to have a really low-key casual winter project.
So I finally decided on sanding it enough so that paint could adhere to it so that I could add a fun little pop of color that matched the rest of the backyard. Okay, so this is the kind of final version of the bench here. I like the open side, and then I'm going to do 4 slats evenly spaced and add some supports. And then I think I'll just give it some color to seal it, and it should look pretty done and cool.
So this bench build took me about 2 half days, and I really only used tools from Lowe's to cut it down, sand it, assemble it, and I've had these tools forever. You've seen me use them on the channel many times, but there's one new tool that I just got from Lowe's that I really want to try on this project.
So I've never used a paint sprayer, and I was pretty sure that this one was not going to have a lot of overspray, but I just wanted to protect the area just in case. But I also thought it would act as a good experiment so I could show you if there was overspray on the cardboard piece down below or on the plastic on the garage. So this electric handheld paint sprayer is only $49. It comes with 2 main pieces that connect as well as some accessories, but I also purchased some additional accessories to make this process a bit more seamless. So I got some liners to help with cleanup and this big Tyvek suit, even though I don't think I'm going to need it, just to protect my clothing. I also got some of these mesh cone strainers to strain the paint into the reservoir. And I picked up some of this Season Flex outdoor paint that I can use on here so that it protects the bench no matter the weather. So to set this up, you just connect the 2 pieces, and then there's a little clip down here to lock the 2 pieces together. So I was just pulling on it to make sure that it was extra tight and secure. This is the little trigger right here that you use to turn it on. And then you can adjust the pressure valve here to increase or decrease the amount of paint that comes out. And on top here, you can actually just unscrew the nozzle and put on different pieces depending on your project, but we're just going to keep the one that came with it for this bench job. And this 28-ounce paint reservoir unscrews and has this little crooked straw just so that it can collect the most paint. So if you're going to be pointing the paint sprayer downward, you want the straw to point forward so that it can suck up the most paint. And if you're painting on the ceiling, then you want to turn that straw around just so that it can suck up the most paint in the opposite direction. Basically, it's just based on gravity. But that's about it. It's really simple to set up and unscrew, which is great for cleaning it. So getting it ready to paint, I just put in one of these liners and then folded the excess over the top. This will screw in just perfectly fine after I pour my paint in. So the next step is to use one of these cone strainers. So it's got this little nice fine mesh tip on the bottom, and this is going to help remove any particles or dried paint chips that could potentially clog the paint sprayer. So I'm using the same color of blue that I've used on my other outdoor pieces of furniture in the backyard to make it cohesive. Additionally, viscosity is really important with paint sprayers. You don't want something too thick or else it'll sputter and kind of give you this orange peel effect. If you're like me and you're purchasing an outdoor paint that's for furniture, it's usually going to be a lot thicker than just a traditional wall paint. And if you also added primer to your paint like I did, it's going to be thicker than usual. So after some research, apparently you want your paint to strain from 40 to 50 seconds, and this was definitely going to take longer. So that meant that I needed to water it down. So I just started with 1 tablespoon of water and just kept going until the viscosity looked a bit thinner than it started as in the can. This is apparently a very standard practice with using paint sprayers, and watering it down doesn't dilute the saturation or the integrity of the paint, considering you're only adding like a tablespoon of water at a time. It just helps it move through the paint sprayer easily. And this is important if you want a really smooth finish. Two things I noticed right away is that if I spray painted this, it probably would have been just as fast, but it wouldn't have given me such a solid first coat, and it would have smelled horrendous even with a mask on. And I literally did not smell any fumes. And secondly, this was so much easier than pulling out the paint pans and the rollers, and then when I needed to take a break to let an area dry, I didn't have to cover it with plastic wrap. So overall, this was so much easier and faster. I can confidently say now that this was entirely overkill. This was overkill. I just really wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to spray everywhere. Clearly you can see here that there was very mild overspray, and that's why I wanted to use the cardboard so you can see. And there's almost nothing on here. I think there's like some droplets all the way up to here. But if I had moved this out into the middle here and just done it right there, I probably wouldn't have worried about that, but I was pretty close, as you can see, to the garage door. And I only put in probably like 8 to 10 ounces of paint, and there's still plenty left in there for my second coat or for the other side. Also, the paint on here looks perfect. There's no like bubbling or orange peeling or anything. It looks really smooth. The water didn't water it down too much. There's like full coverage of color. So I'm highly recommending this. Huge fan. This entire job here took me 5 minutes. So now I just have to wait an hour for it to dry per the can, and then just flip it over and do another 5 minutes, and then it's done. I'm obsessed with this new little tool, and I can't wait to paint something else. So I would definitely much more prefer this than pulling out the paint rollers and the paint trays and then having to wrap the paint rollers in plastic wrap while I'm waiting for a coat to dry. So this is another fun and really easy product to use. So I will link it down in the description below so you guys can try it out. And don't quote me, but I really do think this is like the cheapest paint sprayer I've seen out there. Wow, it feels so much better to be in the breezeway again now that it's clean. I used the pressure washer to just clean off some of the concrete in here. And now that the rug is clean and this whole area is just tidied up, it feels like it did when I first made it over last year. So I'm very glad to be in here, and I'm so glad that it's no longer this like daunting looming task that I needed to deal with. And I think that brings me to tip number 4, which is periodically choose one thing to invest in that will increase your enjoyment of an outdoor space. First of all, you don't always have to do something big and major to make a space feel new and refreshed. And second of all, you don't always have to do it within 1 month or even 1 year. For example, when we moved into this home, during year 1, we purchased a barbecue, and we spent a lot of time researching the right one to get. And that added so much value into this little breezeway area because we were able to host barbecues and have people over and cook outside. And the kitchen we have is quite small, so it was really nice to just come outside and do something different. And this really just improved our day-to-day living. And a little bit later on, we picked up this little mini fridge on Marketplace. And this, of course, allowed us to enjoy drinks with our barbecued meals. And then in year 2, I got really into gardening and started harvesting a lot of fruits and veggies and herbs from the yard. And we wanted to utilize this space a lot more efficiently, considering I was overflowing with gardening materials. And also, we didn't have like a dedicated hosting and entertaining zone. So we invested in creating this little faux outdoor kitchen with these tables. And we also added a big potting table for my gardening zone. And now this whole area feels intentional, like it's been functionally designed. And that was a big investment for us, and yet it really paid us back because we were able to functionally host people over here and do more meals outside. It not only looked good, but it functioned well too. And it's really just been a fantastic area for us to grow into and enjoy. So now in year 3, we really wanted to find a way to utilize more of the produce from the garden, eat a little healthier, and eat at home more often, and just find a few ways to be more creative when it comes to cooking meals. So we got the Uni Coda 12 pizza oven from Lowe's, and I am super stoked about this because number 1, we love a good gourmet custom pizza, and number 2, this doesn't have to be just a pizza oven that you cook a cheese pizza in, for example. This oven is ready to cook in 15 minutes and can reach up to 950 degrees, and it can make a pizza in about 60 seconds, or it can consistently maintain a low temperature for a really nice char on seafood or vegetables. You can also bake bread in here, so it's a lot more complex
and unique than just having a barbecue. My plan is to make a lot of flatbreads because flatbreads are like the perfect vehicle to dump garden veggies on. Like I can imagine a kale, onion, and mushroom flatbread, or we would just do the traditional tomato and basil, which we always seem to have plenty of. Last year I was growing crazy big zucchinis, and I can just imagine making a bunch of zucchini pies in there this year, so I'm very stoked about that. So my goal was to add this in here because it adds a whole other layer of functionality and creative cooking and really makes this area feel more like a kitchen, considering there's multiple options to cook food. The best part about this thing too is that it's completely movable and versatile, so it's really lightweight. You can take it with you wherever you'd like to go. You can always bend down the legs for easier storage or travel, and it's the perfect size for a traditional countertop space, as you can see. This pizza oven comes with a pizza stone that lives in it permanently, and you can also add on a bunch of different accessories like this travel case that allows you to either take it camping or go to the beach or to your next rental, or maybe you just want to take it around different parts of your yard during different seasons or events. It just plugs into a traditional propane tank that you can also get at Lowe's, and it's got a little knob on the back where you can change how hot it is. And I actually picked up at Lowe's one of these cobalt thermometer things just to test how hot it can get so that I can make sure to put the pizza in when it's at its peak heat. So if you're someone who likes to travel, or you do van life, or you go to the beach or go camping, this is so easy and portable. You just have to have a flat surface to put the propane tank on, and that's about it. It's really easy to carry around. You also really want to get a pizza peel for one of these because then it makes it easy to just slide it right in and pull it out very easily. It's called the Unicoda 12 because it fits perfectly a little 12-inch pizza. So in a matter of 20 minutes, we could just be coming out here, grabbing some garden produce, rolling out some dough, throwing in a pizza, and then eating it right here on this little table. My thinking is, what's the point of doing all the cleaning and pressure washing and painting and planning and designing if you're not going to set some time aside to enjoy your space? So hopefully I inspired you guys to go outside and reset your outdoor spaces so that they can be prepped for the spring and summer months that are coming up pretty soon. If you live somewhere where there's snow, the snow will eventually melt and you'll be able to go back outside and spend time with loved ones or yourself as you practice a new hobby, or just enjoy the really nice weather while you have it. So if you're planning on resetting your space for spring and summer, I will link everything I talked about in this video in the description below. I'll also include all the tools that I use for the bench and pretty much anything else that you saw in this video, just in case you want to check it out. Other than that, I will see you guys back out here in this breezeway and garden area next week because I have a bunch of other projects I'm working on to prep these areas for spring garden season. So I'm very excited for that. So I will see you guys there. Bye.